Ready? שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב ובנאים. שבת אחים גם יחד. Again. הנה מה טוב ובנאים. שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ובנאים. שבת אחים גם יחד. הללויה!
Shabbat Shalom. And Happy New Year. Sometimes at this time of year, people wish me Happy Secular New Year. Or they look really uncomfortable when they say Happy New Year in front of me. So I want to reassure you. Did you know that Judaism actually has 4 New Years? Rosh Hashanah is only one of them, and the most important for Jews today. But in ancient times, there were 3 additional New Years that dealt with the festivals, the festival calendar, and with taxes. How to tax on animals and how to tax on produce. Tu B'Shvat, for example, was the new year of the trees, and it was used to count how old the tree was and when it could bear fruit and when it could be eaten and when it could be taxed. So celebrating January 1st as a new year doesn't feel so out of place. It's a way for us to count time according to the society that we live in. It isn't holy in the way that Rosh Hashanah is, but it is something that we can still enjoy. So I want to invite you to turn to the people around you to not only wish them Shabbat Shalom, but you can also wish them a Happy New Year. If you don't know them, please make sure to introduce yourselves. We also want to wish Shabbat Shalom to those who are joining us online. So if you'll turn around and look at the cameras, we're going to wave Shabbat Shalom and Happy New Year to them. And as you have already heard, helping lead our services tonight is Shir Kids, our youth choir. Sometimes there are more of them than this, but it's the beginning of the year, so we're a little bit small because we haven't even been back to religious school yet. So that means...
Small but mighty.
Small but mighty.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
But it means that we expect you all to sing a little louder than you might be inclined to. So we hope that you will really join us in prayer and fill this room with song. And we're going to start doing that by welcoming in Shabbat with the lighting of candles. Recognize the joy and holiness of Shabbat with the singing of Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. B'Shabbat Kodsho, V'Ahabahu Ratzon, Hinilanu, Zikaron L'Maaseh Bereshit, Ki Hu Yom Tehillah.
Migrae Kodesh, Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu V'acharta, Ve'otanu Kidashta, Mikol Ha'amim, V'Shabbat Kodecha, Ve'ahava U'ratzon, Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. All right, at this time, we are going to invite forward anyone who is under the age of bar and bat mitzvah, who is celebrating a birthday in the month of January. If that is you, come on up. Stand right here. All right, we want to bless you with a year of health and happiness, of making new friends, of learning new things, of doing things that you love to do, and getting to be with all of your family and friends. And we sing to them happy birthday.
Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, January birthdays, happy birthday to you.
All right, happy birthday to all of you. You guys can go take your seats. So we already know good things that are happening in the lives of those who just came up here because they get to celebrate birthdays in January. But we like to take this opportunity to celebrate all the good things that are happening. So if you've had something happen in your life since last Shabbat or since you were last with us for Shabbat, please raise your hand and tell us what that good thing is. Your dad turned 96, healthy and well, wonderful. I went and celebrated my grandmother's 95th birthday. She is healthy and well. Third place at the science fair, congratulations. Anybody else?
Wow.
Your mom retired and closed her business, and you cleared out a lot of things. Anybody else? Yeah.
Wow.
You got student of the month at your school. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Anybody else? How about over here? Yes. Ken. You celebrated Hanukkah. I think many of us can count that as something wonderful that we got to do. Thank you. Oh, another one. Eli.
My sister's birthday is in 2 days.
Your sister's birthday
Was
2 days ago. And I have one for the congregation. Rabbi Dusty Class gave birth.
Yay!
And her baby was named today Charlie Miriam.
Oh.
So a little girl. Anybody else? All right, we're going to take all of those good things and any good things you've been thinking about, and we offer a Shechianu, thanking God for enabling us to reach this season and to be able to celebrate all of these things together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
welcomed in Shabbat with light, and now we welcome in Shabbat with song, with the singing of Lecha Dodi.
Shama,
the burning bush, a miraculous wonder that he witnesses out in the desert. The Torah teaches us that Moses had to turn aside to look to see the burning bush. And so people wonder, why include that detail? Why does it need to say that Moses had to turn to see the bush? I think part of what it's teaching is that we have to take time to turn aside, to notice the amazing things around us. If we spend time looking, we might notice the intricacies of a spider's web. We might appreciate the tiny vessels that convey water on the top of a leaf. We can see the myriad colors that fill the sky as the sun rises and sets. But you just have to turn aside, to pause, to look up. We might not see a burning bush, but we'll see many beautiful things. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Praised are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. We continue with the Shema.
us know that the words of Mi Chamocha, our next prayer, are the words that Moses, Miriam, and the Israelites sang at the shores of the sea, expressing joy that they had safely crossed through the walls of water to freedom. Reading this week's Torah portion, though, it is hard to imagine this level of joy. We meet Moses as a baby, able to grow up to be our leader only because he had to be hidden in a basket. And then at the burning bush, Moses is hesitant. He's worried that he doesn't have the skills to save his people. But when we read the Torah portion, we do have the advantage of knowing that in the end, Moses will succeed. We have sat around our Seder tables. We have sung the words of Mi Chamocha before. We know that Moses will help to set the people free. So tonight, we sing Mi Chamocha with the joy of knowing that that tiny baby, and maybe any tiny baby, can grow into a confident leader and change the world.
Yeah.
be seated. At the new year, we set these New Year's resolutions, and they always seem so hard to keep. So I want to offer an alternative for us to see silent prayer as a time to consider on a regular basis little resolutions. Silent prayer every time we come together to pray gives us opportunities to think about how we want to be the best people that we can be. How do we want to work in the next week to be the best person that each of us can be? So instead of thinking of huge resolutions, I want to invite you to take this time of silent prayer to think about as what is something small that you can do this week to improve yourself and the people around you. We are going to send your kids to sit down. Thank you for helping lead us. And I want to invite everyone to join me in these words of a prayer for the state of Israel. We gather together in faith and with hope to pray for peace and for the safety of the people of Israel. Help us, O Holy One, and protect us in our hour of need. Touch our hearts, lest they harden with despair. Guide our thoughts, lest they are overcome with fear. Help us bring healing to the wounded, strength to those in mourning, courage to those in fear, wisdom to those who lead. Yedid Nefesh, beloved one, reveal yourself and fill the world with your light. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Be quick, God of love, for the time has come. Have mercy upon us, eternal one of peace. Having offered a prayer for the state of Israel, asking for peace for Israel, we also ask for peace for individuals, peace who are in need, people who are in need of healing, whether it's healing of the body or healing of the mind. On the screen behind me will be the names of those in our community whom we know to be in need of healing this Shabbat. We send out our strength and our love to them. If you are thinking about this, someone this Shabbat who is in need of healing, I invite you to share their name out loud with us. Healing for all of them and those we've named in our hearts with the words of Mishabara.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I want to tell a story, but I'm going to also need your help a little later. Is that okay? All right, perfect. So, once upon a time, there was a tiny little village with a tiny, tiny little Jewish population in the tiny village. And this tiny little village with the tiny Jewish population was in a country that was very, 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 very far north. Not North Pole north, but like North Pole adjacent north. So this tiny little country and a tiny little village and a tiny little Jewish population in this very, and just North Pole adjacent, what kind of weather do you think they have there in the winter? It is dark. That was not weather related for sure, but it is. It is dark and it is cold. So in this tiny little country and this tiny little village with this tiny Jewish population, just North Pole adjacent, right, is cold and it is dark. And they had in this village tiny little homes. Tiny little homes that they would sit in, and they would, of course, what do you think they would have in their tiny little homes to help make them feel warm? They'd have like a fire. They had like a stove with a fire. That's right. And what else do you think they would do? They didn't have electricity in this little, tiny little village. But what do you think they would do for light? Yeah. perfect. That's exactly what they would do. So they would go and they would get sticks and they would light a fire and they would put it in a stove, and then they would also have lamps with oil, right? And they would have oil lamps that they would carry with them in the dark, because of course it's really dark outside. And would you want to go outside in the very, very north without like a lamp or to have any sort of light with you? No, they probably wouldn't want to do that. So they would have lamps that they would carry. They would have lamps that they would have so they could be outside at night. And then they would go into their homes and they would light their homes, not on fire, but they would light up their homes, right, with light, right, from these little lamps that they would carry around. And the thing about this small little Jewish community is that over time, the small little Jewish community also grew and grew and grew, just even a little. But one of the things that was sort of hard was that they didn't really have a synagogue where they would meet in each other's homes. And so when something wonderful happened, like a baby naming, or when there was a wedding, or when there was sometimes even a funeral, right, when we were gathering together to help support people who died, right, or when there was just gathering together to talk about things that were happening in the community, they would all have to pack in to their one person's tiny little home. And, well, all of a sudden the population grew enough that they couldn't all fit into one of the tiny little homes, so they had to think about what they were going to do. And what do you think they chose to do? Build a temple, to build a synagogue. Well, that required creating a committee, of course. Right? More than one, absolutely. And they decided they were going to build a temple, and they wanted to build a synagogue where they could gather together. That's exactly what they decided to do. And so they actually said, listen, there's two, a brother and a sister. One is named Ori, and one is Orly. And they're going to, they were an architect and a construction master. And they said, would you lead this committee of people to help us understand what we want to have for the temple that we want to build? Of course. So they gathered all of the people in the village together, and they said, well, what they went and they said, what do you want to have in a synagogue? What do you want to have? And so, what do you think? Think a moment for a second. What do you think that the synagogue should have? What do you think it should have? Yes. It should have a menorah. Absolutely. Okay, it's going to have a menorah. Absolutely. Yes. It's going to have an ark. Yes. It should have chairs, right? So it needs to be big enough that there's, some chairs, right? And maybe if they put the chairs to the side, they could also use the same room to dance the hora and celebration of things, right? Okay, great. What else? Yes. They needed a Torah. Okay, they could definitely get one of those. It might take a little while to write one, but they could get one. Yes, and? Oh, yes. A big Torah and the mini Torahs. 100%. You cannot have a synagogue without big Torahs and mini Torahs. Right? All right. So a couple more things. Remember, it is where do they live again? North Pole adjacent, which means that they're going to need something to heat the synagogue, right? Okay. We know something about that, all right? Right? So they're going to need something to heat the synagogue. So it needs to have a stove, which means they're going to have to collect some firewood, and they're going to have a stove to heat the synagogue. And what else are they going to have, since it's so far north and there's no electricity in this village? What are they going to have? Not just the menorah, but what else are they going to have? They're going to have light, lamps. What were you going to say? Wood. Great. So everyone, that's exactly what everyone said in the village. All the things that you came up with, this is exactly what they said. And they needed to be too big. They needed to be big enough that they could celebrate, but not too big. It needed to be have the ability to have an opportunity for all the people in the Jewish community to gather together, to celebrate, and to do all the things that we do in a Jewish community. And so Ori and early they set out, and they created this amazing design, and the construction started, and they built, and people brought things, and someone brought new covers for the Torah scroll, and they helped to make a menorah that they could put inside of the sanctuary and the synagogue, and of course they built this beautiful, beautiful sanctuary that was just big enough for everyone, but not too big where people would feel alone, and it was just beautiful. And the community was excited, and Ori and Early sent an invitation to everyone. They said, please come for the grand opening of the synagogue. And we're going to do it at sunset. We're going to have it at sunset. So please remember to bring your lamps. Right? So everyone comes, and they come into the building, and they see what was built. There was actually beautiful glass, because I don't know if you know this, but all synagogues are supposed to have a window so that we can see the outside, right? So that we don't just pray inside, but we actually get to see outside as well. And there was a beautiful floor, and there was a menorah. There was an ark that was waiting the Torah scroll that was being written, right? And they had all the things that a synagogue would need. They had enough seats for everyone, and people just loved it. But then the sun started to set. Now, it started to set at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? It was North Pole adjacent, right? But it started to set. Now, everyone, let's see the sun starting to set, right? And it started to set, and it set, and it set, and it set. And then everyone said, where's the lights? Where are the lights? There was the menorah, but that was often right in the front corner, and it wasn't enough light to light the whole of the sanctuary, the whole community. And they said, Ori and Early, you forgot the lights. You forgot the lamps for the whole community. It isn't usable if we don't have light. And so Ori and Early said, hold on. And they took out their lantern, and they lit it. And then they went around, and they lit everyone's lantern in the congregation that they had brought. And all of a sudden, the sanctuary had a lot of light. And they said, this is what we did. We built a sanctuary without lanterns in it, so that when our community was together to support those who were in need, there would be light. And when we are celebrating, there would be light. And that it is responsibility for each one of us to bring our light to light up this sanctuary. Fortunately today, we have electricity. It's a really good thing. But I want to suggest that each person here, every single person, has a light in your soul. And it's the curiosity that you have, the questions you ask, the way that you lift up the sanctuary as you sing the words of the songs. It's the way that you show up for someone who's in need, the way that we celebrate together, and that every sanctuary, especially when it's dark outside, especially at this season of the year, every sanctuary is lit up because of the presence of the light of each person here. And so today, we take the lessons of Ori and Early, and we recognize that we bring the light of our lives to this place. And that even when it's dark outside, it's light in here because of you. And even when it's cold outside, it's warmer because of you. And because of the jackets that we might be having too. And the blankets that are in the back. And so, on this Shabbat, I hope we remember that each of us are the light that makes this place bright. Each of us is the light that warms this place. And each of us can light the light and the lamp of someone else through generosity and kindness and love. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to stand and say the words of Aleinu L'Shabeach. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Speaking of light, there are people who lived, who gave light to this world, whose souls burned brightly, but can't be seen anymore because they're no longer living. But one of the things that we know is that their light continues to burn brightly in our memories, in our thoughts, and we remember them for the ways that they made us laugh. We remember them sometimes for the ways that they bothered us, some of the ways that they would make the same jokes over and over again, for the ways that they impacted our lives. A lot of people have lived who gave light to this world, and we remember their lives as a blessing. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and the people whom we have drawn into our hearts as though they're our own family. It's our congregational custom to rise as the name of your loved one is said. On this Shabbat, we're in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days after the deaths of Barbara Berlin, Rabbi David Ellenson, Ellen Ann Kleber, Vladimir Shakanovich, Cantor Judith Ovadia, and Sandra Weinstein. We mark with sympathy and sadness the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of the deaths of Marjorie Abrams, George Adams, Robert Andrews, Frank Applebaum, Edith Applebaum, Ronald Aqua, Sandra Bard, Larry Allen Bernstein, Ida Bernstein, George Breyer, Ann Bernstein Brown, Zachary Charles Carter, Ruth Goldberg Casey, Ruth Clayman, Donald Irwin Cohen, Alexander Domesic, Nathan Diamond, Bernard Eisenberg, Magdalena Encarnacion, David Fileski, Lillian Fisher, Warner Fox, Nathan Friedman, Rebecca Froman, Aaron Ginsberg, Milton Ginsberg, Neil Goldstein, Arthur Goodman Jr., June Gitlin Gordon, Abner S. Harkavy, Jay Hickman, Lanny Hitt, Ken Johnson, Heinz Jordan, Margaret Cardis, Pauline Stein Klein, Carrie Lederer, Bluma Levine, Louis London, Maurice Medanek, Ralph Mattia, Samuel G. Melnikoff, Marjorie Millard, Evelyn Green Newman, Barbara Nykiel, Bert Omensky, Sherry Pollock, Edward Pollock, Sophie S. Robinson, Milton Rosenbaum, Margaret Rosenblum, Samuel Sansweet, Israel Saslaw, Gertrude Sass, Andrea Sattler, Janice Klein Schlosser, Jason David Schwartz, Marilyn Seufer, Catherine Solomon Schwartz, Jean Spatz, Isidore Sternfels, Pauline Teich, Ann Teicher, Donald Waddell, Stanley Wahlberg, Sue Warschauer, Isidore J. Weinstein, Mildred Weiss, Carolyn Cohen Witten, Larry Wittes, Phil Wittes. Remember as well all first responders and our servicemen and women who've given their lives for our freedoms, those who died defending the state of Israel, and those who died in the Holocaust and the Shoah. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing as we rise as one congregational family to support the mourners with the words of Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, Be'alma divrach urute v'amlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye zechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehe shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei olamaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiram be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen.
Oseh shalom.
Bimromav, Oseh shalom, Bimromav. You may be seated. Well, I had a whole bunch of announcements and then promptly misplaced them. Because it wouldn't be a service without some announcements. Ah, I got them. All right. Whew. I know you were worried. Okay. I know. You're okay, everyone. Don't worry. All right. So we have so many things that are happening and coming up. It's a couple of things that I want to share. And, of course, our website, you should look at it. There's a lot of things on the calendar and so many things happening. But on next weekend, on Friday, January 12th, is going to be Justice Shabbat. Cynthia Wallace is going to be here. She's a native of Springfield, Georgia, and has lived in Charlotte since 2006. And she's also the co-founder and executive director of the New Rural Project, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on ensuring that the voices of rural young people are not marginalized and that they are heard. And so it's an exciting way to hear about this new project that has been really fantastic and helpful for people. On Saturday, January 13th, at the MLK Pride, there's going to be also a MLK Parade and Shabbat study and worship. It's going to take place at the Vapa Center at 700 North Tryon. Definitely take a look. If you're a normal Shabbat Torah study participant, make sure to take a look and participate online and about where to gather at the Vapa Center at 9 a.m. for a Justice Center Torah study, and of course praying and studying with our feet. There's going to be no Torah study for next Shabbat or Shabbat worship at Temple. It's going to be held in Uptown Charlotte. On Sunday, January 21st at 10 a.m., the Brotherhood Sunday Brunch is also going to include the pro sports in Charlotte. A lot to talk about because there's a lot of people who are unhappy with a lot of pro sports things happening in Charlotte. Scott Fowler is going to be our featured speaker, and he has spent over 30 years at the Charlotte Observer. He's a highly respected voice in sports journalism in Charlotte, an opportunity to learn about when our teams might be getting better. Also, on Sunday, January 28th, there's the mitzvah market. What we had previously called the mitzvah day is now being transformed into a mitzvah market. And the purpose of the mitzvah market is really simple but clear. It's the question of how do we make sure that mitzvah day isn't just happening on a single day, but that we think about how we can help our community, both on Shalom Park and beyond Shalom Park, how we can help our community throughout the year. And this is an opportunity to get engaged with projects that have been important to the Jewish community and to Temple Bethel for a long time. And so we want to invite you to come to the mitzvah market on Sunday, January 28th at 9 a.m. With that, we are going to conclude with the words of Odiavo Shalom Aleinu.
Odiavo Shalom Aleinu.
Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Odiavo Shalom Aleinu. Salam. Shalom Aleinu, Odiavo Shalom Aleinu, Odiavo Shalom Aleinu, Odiavo Shalom Aleinu, Odiavo Shalom Aleinu, Remember to say Shabbat Shalom to the people who are around you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.